Okay, I'm okay. So I've commented on his channel, and he'll tell you more about that. But here is the mystical name that I have given to him. Liegamborera Kapuvamerfah Alwaz Liegamborera Kapuvamerfah Alwaz Liegamborera Kapuvamerfah Alwaz.
So I guess to introduce myself, well, for me, hopefully it's kind of an interesting story. Well, basically, I suppose some people would call me a person that was born with a sort of sinister inclination. I didn't know what was magic early on. I guess into my teens at least. But I had this kind of awareness that I wanted to take over the world, and later on I identified in myself certain psychopathic tendencies. I was always kind of rooting for evil, etc. And how my life in magic began is second mute mic. Okay, so should I? Yeah, I guess I'll continue while you do that. So how my life in magic began is I kind of have cerebral palsy, so I had to. I knew that medicine wasn't able to cure me completely. I have some trouble walking, so I needed something else. Oh, okay, it's your error.
It may record my voice through this.
Needed something else, and that's kind of how I started out in magic. My background, if we were to say from the beginning, was the fact that when I was a child, my father got interested in Buddhism. He taught me some meditations. It was the Diamond Way Buddhism. And then I went to Brazil to João de Deus, or John of God, to basically have him cure me. And that's when I also started participating in those meditations. They were actually simple visualizations, but he would do these invisible operations on us, and afterwards I sensed a sort of ease in walking. So it did help me out, and it possibly influenced my eyes as well. Also, I did see it written by Timothy from Become a Living God in the book Awakening Lucifer, that people who are left-handed as well as crippled tend to be regarded in a sinister light. So for me, that's kind of personal. Okay, so
what do you think the purpose of life?
The purpose of life. Well, for me, the purpose of life, I would always say that life life is a space of endless possibility. So of course we can do and we can achieve whatever we want here. For me specifically, the purpose of life is to become supreme. Without supremacy, I don't believe that we can exist in a complete way. Now, what I mean when I say supreme is I've always I have this awareness for I've had this awareness for some time now that reality is a process that can be completely understood, and then if we can understand the process, we can actually apply it, and then we can gain it all. So this gets me to the 3 points in which I kind of actually diverge from the teachings of E.A. Coetting, is because he says, well, we can't know it all, and we can't achieve it all, and we're gonna kind of die anyway. So my belief, no, for me, it's not a search for a meaning. It's I have found my meaning, and the meaning is to become supreme, because to be anything less than that is to be incomplete. So the search was how to do this, and that was really what really sparked my interest into, okay, we have magic, we have evocation, divination, soul travel, we have spiritual disciplines, we have the paths, but how do you really put them together to get everything that can be gained in one life? And my whole purpose is to actually complete this system. Yes, not just limits, but finding an absence of all limitation. I for me, the how to really put that purpose of finding supremacy, into practical terms, for me, that is, I have uncovered that we have basically two um, two main goals as human beings. These goals are common to each of us, and basically, each of us is soul. So to go into soul travel a little bit, yeah, yes, I do definitely believe in reincarnation, and this is going to get me into that this topic. But what do you mean by ultimate crystallization of results exactly?
Legacy or afterlife?
Yes, yes, I do believe in it. I have not had experience of it to the extent that I could say that, and that I could call it a fact. However, I have had out of body experiences that, and definitely I can say that there is life after this. So that gets me into the two basic goals I was talking about before. Is the one of them is the realization of soul. Each of us is soul, and the basic goal for each of us is, God realization, self realization, and mastery as souls. But then there's another goal. Um, what I mean by soul is that would be the Ekankar description of it, or the Vardankar description of it. The omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, eternal, indestructible force, part of the Sugma. As I know, you're well acquainted with these paths, so that's exactly what I mean. And for me, soul travel is a huge part of my education, as well as of my practice as well. So that's precisely what I mean. But then there's another goal, and the goal is you saw me on YouTube in one of my videos. It's the channel of the same name that is this Skype name, and you actually posted a comment on one of my videos, and then I replied to you and asked for an interview. So that's how we kind of met. And so if we are also, and one of the main goals is self-realization, God realization. As humans, we all have bodies. So for me, the second main goal is actual physical immortality, because too many people believe that death is an inevitability, whereas in reality, death is just, its cause. The cause of death is the fact. Well, I always say this, I always think this to myself. Why does a person get fat? When a person gets fat or it's unfit, we say, well, you've really let yourself go, man. So basically, death is the same thing. You've had this life, but you didn't use it in order to really solidify yourself eternally. Oh, you did an inside roll on the okay, that's great too. I mean, I can't say that I believe them. I'm a soul travel practitioner myself. I'm not an initiate of Ekankar or Vardankar. I don't pay for it, but I do work with the masters, and I do soul travel through the planes, and I have achieved the mental plane. So I know that side of it, the inner side of it. Yes, and they do have universal techniques, and that side of it is real, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not like most of those. So-called Ekists or Vardanists who are part of the herd. The first master I met, I guess, is Master Sunam. If you've heard of him from EA, and why did that happen is because I simply learned that if we are in a lucid dream, we may call the name of any being we want to meet, and we are going to simply go to them and actually meet them. So this is what I did with Sunam, and this was my the leaders, they don't need to be worshipped. But what I can tell you about the leaders is, very actually quite recently, I had this kind of thought. Okay, so I'm not gonna acknowledge Harold Clem as a spiritual master. Yeah, and that's an interesting story to get into if we can. And about the masters, my own experiences are such that, okay, I'm not gonna acknowledge Harold Clem until I get an experience about his master. So, and what happened then is I had an actual meeting with him on the inner planes. He was a young, kind of beautiful kind of guy, and he had indeed, he had spiritual power. What I mean was, what I felt from him was ecstasy, and we would say it's the sound current. So yeah, he's got something, but it's much better to work on with him on the inner, and you don't have to pay money for him. Yeah. And self-mastery, self-realization, actualization. Yeah, that's also what I'm all about. And the Varden master, the Alan Feldman, I've also had a dream about him, and in the dream, I was capable of moving objects. Now, usually, if we can do that in a dream, that means we have some sort of increased level of energy, which allows this movement. So yeah, they do have power, but you don't need to pay. You don't need to follow them on the outer level. That's kind of that's not really necessary at all. And at the same time, every individual should have their own experiences, experiences with these masters. Oh, it got to you. Yeah, I guess, yeah, but in my opinion, that's okay, because let them do their thing, while we have access to not only the Ek masters of the past, or the Ek masters of the past, present, and even the future, if we know their names. So everything these guys have, we can get as well. All the initiations and everything. So we are not really inferior to them in any way. What's happening on the outer level, yeah, that's not, we don't need to be part of that. But on the inner level, we can do all the work, get all the realizations, and it's all actually possible to us. For me, I began as a being who cannot sense energy, who basically had no spiritual capabilities whatsoever. But I trained in Qigong. How much? Okay. You mean spent time or money? Well, how much do I think could be spent? Oh, for me, well, yeah, I'm gonna wait for you to maybe type this. Okay, resources vary. Yes, of course. So, in my case, for example, after the Brazil time, and after starting out in some of these Tibetan meditations, what happened was I found out I had an uncle who is a Qigong, Seitai, and Tai Chi master, and he basically began training me. So how much time one can spend is, yeah, I've done definitely several years of work, and and then evocation. I actually got the books, I got the courses and everything, and I went forth evoking years and years and years, and then back I had this kind of materialization of Azazel. So that was a huge breakthrough. But yes, usually the entire priority of charity. Oh, okay, let's get into the economic stuff. So yeah, it does take years. I mean, of course, if you're really gifted and if you have it good, maybe that's easy for those kind of people. But true mastery still takes years. But what's important, and I'll get to the point you just touched on there. What's important is to have the forces with you, the necessary forces that can really bolster your growth to the max in the least amount of time, and then we can succeed in a single lifetime to achieve the kind of supremacy and I was talking about. Now, yeah, resources vary, and should the poor be the entire priority of charity to uplift society? For me, actually, I don't really work with those kinds of things. Really, I'm the kind of guy that's saying, okay, if I can get this realization, if I can get this height of mastery, then basically society is just a stepping stone. Humanity is just a stepping stone. They exist. These systems, exist, and the people exist, so that basically we can help each other exist as a collective. But the entire progress and the priority is on one's own self and one's own. Yeah, let me read what you are saying. Is on one's own self and our own work. Yes. In that case, in the case of them being extra, yes, then the poor could be helped. But at the same time, I'm always saying, okay, look, if you really want to help people, if we want to help people, we need to achieve a certain level of capability that transcends the average individual, for sure. What Jesus did is a good example. For example, with helping people. Yeah, a community is good. A community of wise people is good. A community of magicians is very good. Or you could say a community of God realized beings. Now that is definitely that could be a goal. And I mean, hopefully, as this as we expand in our capabilities and awareness, that is what should happen. That's also my opinion. That is what probably will happen. But at the end of it, I'm always going to say that one individual can surpass anything and everything. So therefore, also the community of God realized people, etc., is also just a stepping stone. So yes, that would be my opinion on that. I'm always saying, people are saying we have these kind of problems, but as being in awareness of existence. Well, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But then again, as you know, we have several planes, and those planes have to be realized. Several physical planes. If they are not realized consciously, experientially, simply achieved, then basically that's never going to work. That's never going to be real God consciousness. So I have a good example. One of my friends said, I looked at her photo and I said, hey, you look kind of like a Astarte or something. Maybe you're channeling maybe you are invoking some deities. So, because she's kind of a witch, a little bit, she's a white kind of easy going. I call these guys, you can't, I mean, I don't really acknowledge not hardcore people in magic, not really. And yeah. What does that name actually mean? The one you just typed here.
Asha.
Oh, the goddess. Oh, okay. I got it. So, yeah. Uh, and so, she said. So I said, "Are you invoking goddesses?" She said, "Well, why do I need to? I'm already a goddess." I'm like, and she's like, yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, I'll get into that about the star beings a little bit as well. So she's like, okay, what do I need to do that? I'm already a goddess, and all I have to do is just connect to it, and I'm there. All I have to do is just believe in myself, connect to nature. But I said, hey, wait. I mean, you have to understand there are levels and levels to this. And coming back to God realizations, this woman made a video about it. And she said, okay, there's no mastery, there's no mahanship, there's no God realize, it's all just be good, just live your life. We can't think in those terms. We have to understand that this is a state of being, and it needs to be, it needs to be directly reached. It cannot be hooked up and be said to be, oh, I'm there, I'm a Buddha, I'm a God. And that doesn't work that way. So that's one of those things a lot of people, I guess, get hung up on. Now, being a star being, I mean, yes. Now, from what I've learned, yeah, more than only individuals. It's about species more than only individuals. Yeah, all the demons and the gods, all the spirits, they definitely exist. They definitely are real. But at the same time, yeah, they are a part of us. And of course, I guess you could get into all kinds of interesting ideas about how does the number 72 and how do the goetic demons relate to ourselves. But yeah, it comes down to experience again, to personal experience. But what I believe is that every spirit, every being is a requisite part of us. And as many as we can find, we should integrate into ourselves. Kind of, this constant sort of self-updating process by evocation, invocation, etc., etc. Yeah, so that is true, definitely.
Now, Kron Sir 72 talks about how Jinn are neither good nor bad.
About the Astaroth name or the title of a witch that you gave is interestingly in my own working. You know, I worked with yeah about how yeah nor bad yeah they really are not. And you know, in my experience working with uh, demons, spirits, and jinn, at this point, I cannot say that any of them are evil at all. And what that means is, okay, we'll look at Belial. I mean, I've been working actually with the 9 gatekeepers as well. So it's like the second month. I'm ending the second month with Belial. Of course, I've done that quite a bit actually already. But yeah, they should not be regarded as, they would not be regarded should not be regarded as evil. For example, Belial and the other demons, all they do, what I'm saying is all they do for our benefit. All they do is for our benefit. And even though it seems harsh, it can be like a parent. They can act like parents. It can be painful. What do I believe about God divinity? Once again, yeah, but the demons, all they do is, in the end, is for us. They don't just do something bad. Well, I mean, some can. They can just be destructive. They can kill people and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to our development. Now, what do I believe about God divinity? Well, my beliefs about that are exactly the same as those perpetrated by Vardankar or Ekankar, because again, I believe that that is the yeah, it's very blurred. And if we're talking about the difference between them is, I would say that these demons are actually the oldest of the gods, the oldest of the spirits, particularly talking about the 9 gatekeepers. That's what I've been feeling myself. So yeah, you can't just really say that, you know, they're different. They are the origin. I would like to say that the demons are the origin. And yeah, so my belief is about, yes, I do. I would not say that I believe it. I would say that I know it's true because I've met them and I've worked with them. So yes, definitely I believe, and I would like to say that I know. In fact, every time I've said to a master, okay, I don't believe in you, they kind of pop up and I meet them, and then I start, you know, engaging with them. So yeah, they are, I would say, absolutely real. And if we get into it, and if we work on it and work with them, we will see that they are more real than this world, and more potent than this world. And the same can be said about the demons. What are your favorite qualities or names of deities? Oh, so you mean basically what is my favorite type of deity? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so for me, well, whew, you know, first of all, yeah, I'm going back to the yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's kind of to be expected. Um, what for me, yeah, that would be the Sugmat first as well, because you know we try to get the highest, so-called highest being. We try to get the core, and then we wanna tap into, ask ourselves the question again. So what is on the descending hierarchy? What is the second most important being? So in accordance with the teachings of soul travel, Ekankar, that would be, and that would be the Sugmad. Then that would be Satnam, and so forth. But then going at then going and looking, okay, so what are the most potent guys beyond these two? That would also be the nine gatekeepers. And of the all the gods, of all the gods, I'm not talking about the soul travel hierarchy now, but I'm talking about the gods as per religions, etc. Of all the gods, the most powerful ones, in my opinion, are the lords of darkness. So you can take anything like Satolas, Satan, Angramanyu, etc., etc. So every one of these, I believe, is the ruling hand, and then of course you have so basically it's the Lord of Darkness, who, as the EA says, has 10,000 names, and then you have the 9 gatekeepers as the manifestation of that, whom again I call, to my knowledge, these are the most powerful demons that I've ever experienced and I have known. So yes, yeah. So that would be my kind of basic overview of the hierarchy for sure. And I believe that yeah, every one of those, as far as we can, should be integrated. Oh, okay. So your personal temple, you mean a temple you have built?
I separated sorry the delay.
Oh, yes. Having a temple, having a temple is is definitely great. I have some experience with that. You know, as far as seeing the, they do definitely, those temples can definitely hold power if you perform magic inside them. But at this time, for me, you know, as far as how much time does spiritual work take, or how much time do I take to do spiritual work? I try to do it in each moment. I mean, utter some mantra, say something, and you know, keep myself in the connection, and you know, being the lightning rod, as EA says, and really manifesting the Infernal Empire and the whole world being my temple as well. So I'm also at that point, wherein magic is everywhere, and I'm always in magic, and I mean, the people say, you know, I am the magic. So I guess, yeah, that's a good expression. For that, we are the magic, but we do have to always be engaged in it. One of the teachings by Azazel Shemiaza would be that, you know, okay, you are the sorcerer, but you have to be the sorcerer at each moment. You can't just say, well, okay, I am the sorcerer. You have to act as the sorcerer, reaffirm yourself in each moment. So that would be, I guess, my advice is okay. Uh it might be love, hate, fear, hope, pleasure might be motivation. That depends on the person. So for me, I guess you're asking for me. So for me, the motivation again is again the supremacy. Now, yeah, sometimes it's hate. If I hate someone, I might definitely try to perhaps punish them via baneful magic, or kill them or something like that. And yeah, I would be the arbiter of my own ethics. So yeah, I would definitely always leave that decision up to myself as to what is right and what I truly desire. And my emotions, such as you have outlined, could definitely be a motivation for that. Now, yeah, how would I define a sorcerer? Wow, that is a very, very good question. So, you know, for a lot of different people, I guess it's a lot of different things. For me, I suppose a sorcerer would be a being that seeks to obtain the greatest conceivable power and state of being by any means whatsoever, by any means necessary. That would be my kind of view on the sorcerer. But to get more specific with that, would be a sorcerer is one who studies dark arts. And by the dark arts, we mean the teachings that come from the darkness itself and the manifestations of darkness. So you have Hermeticism, for example, that tends towards the light. You have soul travel that tends towards the middle path. But neither Hermeticism nor soul travel even can really help you get everything if we don't get into the dark. So basically, it opens up doorways and possibilities that would not otherwise be possible to us. So we need to work with these three, with the actual magical science that is any limits to divinity. Oh, okay. So, well, I mean, the Sugmad is supposed to be a limitless being and so forth, but at the same time, the soul must realize the Sugmad, unite with the Sugmad to whatever degree, and become its channel. So I guess we are the next step to divinity. We are the expansion of divinity, and it's our purpose, as Antaratu says in the book of Azazel, that you have experienced your divinity as an infinitude. Now you need to expand yourself. So yes, and I mean at the same time we can say that we are the Sugmad and we are also the beings here. So our limitations are can be said to be the same as well. Can be said to be the same because we are that God force trying to expand all of our limitations. Yes, we have to not allow the internal contrived and externally imposed false limits to rule us. Yes, and really, I mean, the only way to get out of that, I mean, yeah, we do need forces that are beyond those imposed limits, and that is where the demons and the other spirits and all those beings come in to really help us, because so yeah, we do need those beings, and we do need those practices and realizations, and only then can we really destroy those imposed limitations. For example, with Belial, I have seen that he's definitely great at removing bonds, so that can be psychological. For me, that was also partially about diet, ways I think, ways I act, and I understood that basically that we don't need anything as human beings. All we kind of need is a little bit of survival, a sound mind, and then all we need is our own realization, and then we can transcend all limitations ourselves. We can achieve complete independence. That definitely is my idea and my belief about mystical limits. Oh, well, yeah, a little more specifically, if you can. What kind of you mean limits by imposed upon us by previous karma? Limits imposed upon us by existence. I mean, yes. Auto suggested. Okay. So for me, as I guess a man who's so-called disabled, yeah. So I guess you can definitely say that that's karmic. I can't verify it for now because I haven't had that kind of experience about my previous lives up to this point. But definitely, we do have those limits. But we need to come into this. We need to have the awareness that we can transcend them all. And physical limitations are not inherent to. I mean, they're inherent, but they don't need to remain. We can eradicate them. We can become invincible. We can become immortal. We can, of course, do miracles to the extent of the old religions, the prophets, etc. Oh, what is the injector?
I can't.
In this case, what do you mean?
Psychic. After a gap is formed.
Ah, okay. As far as aliens or psychic devices, well, yeah, I mean psionics. I mean, Chikung would probably. Let me go back to that. As far as aliens, for example, yeah, it's of course, I would like to say that people don't have a lot of most people don't have a lot of knowledge about that. But I've seen that the soul travelers, while reading the books in Ekankar, I've seen that most of them do have quite a good understanding of what actually occurs as far as psychic devices or aliens crisscrossing on this earth and on other planets. Yeah, this what this requires is an experience of knowledge. Yeah, yeah, an experience of knowledge that is outside the physical. We can travel, we can experience these things, we can learn all about aliens and different races, but we do need to get into the spiritual planes. We do need to get into the Akashic records, soul records, etc. We do need to have some guides, masters with us to really say, okay, here's what it is, and then we can have a full understanding of what it is. And that really is what I suppose we should be going for instead of ignorance. So yeah, yeah. And my belief, of course, is that we can go to them, we can learn from them, they can learn from us, and it's all accessible on the spiritual level for sure. Okay, have I pathworked through any particular grimoire system? Yes, like I said, I'm working with the nine gatekeepers now. Second month with Belial, so that would be 40 months for me. 4 months with each gatekeeper, including Lucifer separately. So yeah, 40 months. So that's one of those systems. Another thing I worked is, yes, as I said, the Qigong. I worked, like I said, on the meditations, Buddhist meditations, and I definitely spent the last couple years working with the EA co-writing material, particularly evocation. So they really did take me quite, quite a bit of effort, but I did see it work in tremendous ways, and it really got me. And all the teachings of EA co-writing really got me into this magic. Really gave me the skill set needed to. And now I've taken it and I went ahead and tried to basically make this, try to achieve with this the sort of completeness that he's not really going for. Uh, yes, attraction and repulsion of entities might work on calling on any in particular. For example, yeah, spirits can definitely come. Spirits can definitely go. They can do that themselves for sure. The important part is, are we experiencing it? And yeah, we don't need to call on any entity in particular. For example, if you say, help me, like a simple prayer, even then an angel can come down, or any number of spirits, but we don't necessarily experience that. But yeah, it does work, and we don't need to call on particular on particular entities. But we should have entities that can propel us the most. Some are more powerful, some are less powerful, and if we have the basic, uh oh, you mean the disability? Like, why did it happen?
Do you believe
Oh yes, oh yes. You know, for me, for me, yeah. I'm gonna let you maybe finish typing that, just in case. For me, in particular. Oh yeah. So, end times or afterlife. Okay, okay, I got it. First of all, I would like to not have any afterlife. What I mean by that is I would like not to die, and I'm quite ready to work and to do so by any means. The fact that of stopping my aging, stopping my ability to get sick, stopping my vulnerability, etc. But now, what would happen after I die? Yes, as a soul traveler, I guess I would say that I would leave my body. Now, where would I go? That's a different matter, because I don't know if I could at this point or not be able to control myself at that particular point. And about the end times, I would like to believe that I am the end times, because I come into this world as a man that is preaching a massive type of reform. I have the idea that I am I mean, people are active forces, but I would like to consider that I am the active force and the core that is pushing everything else. Hence, the end times for me would be my own attainment of supremacy, and through that, everybody else kind of kind of being under my dominion. That would be kind of the end time that I am reaching for. I don't need to dominate. It's not necessary. Absolutely. It would be hard to do as spiritual or dedicated. You do not. Oh, anything would be hard to do. Yes. About the difficulties a little bit is a very fun, is a very interesting subject. First of all, it basically depends on our approach, and that's the point. For example, E.A. Koenig says, "Oh, it's kind of hard to kill people with baneful magic." But what happened was, once I was angry at a man on TV, and the same year he died, so we can have a lot of experiences like that. And what I also want to touch on is saints, for example. We do all this kind of magic, we have all these kind of books, education, etc. But a saint can achieve a level where they don't need to eat, where they are healthy, and they can perform miracles that probably most of us cannot. So as you can see, a simple approach sometimes is all that is needed to achieve these things. But I always believe that there's a system. I always believe that anything can be achieved, that all you need are beings that can help you with that can teach you how to do it and really push you forward, and then everything absolutely is possible. And the approach needs to be refined so that we can do the actual miracles, we can do the actual so-called far out stuff, and it needs to be very direct. Oh, was it up, down, or out? well, it's been several of the above. For me, interestingly, I've had experience. First of all, it began when I would be sitting up. A part of me would be in my body, but I would be sitting up outside of my body, and then I would leave, going up. Usually it's up. A couple times it's down. I've went down as I was, for example, calling out to Nahimoth, the first Cliffa. Of course, any kind of underworld does always get you downwards. I've had experiences getting out of body spinning, so I would spin 180 degrees to one side inside my body, to another side, and then leave. And now I have experiences. I've had an experience where my entire astral body was just kind of wobbling, and yeah, it was both out and up, and it's quite multi-directional, definitely. Any of these above mentions? Yeah. Now my past life recalls. For me, that's probably going to take some work with going into the Akashic records and the soul records. I have not been there yet. If I did, then I would tell you more. But my recalls about that would be, once when I was just laying down uh, yeah, it does make that, that's okay. I get it. It makes more. I fully agree with you. So, do I have do I have recalls? Well, one recall I had is while laying down, just eyes closed. I saw that some people had abducted me in a past life, and then they broke my legs, and that's kind of why I'm like this. Maybe that's true, maybe not. The point is, my point would be definitely strive to reach the Akashic records, strive to reach the soul records, and get your actual lifetimes. It's not like, oh, it could have been anything. I could have been this, or I could have been that. It's a direct process. It does need a spiritual, a traveler, a master, a neck master would be good, and you can definitely get those, or you could get them with a demon. Oh, sensations, emotions, sounds. You mean the past life recalls? Do they include these things? Because I've had some of those. Yeah, I've had some of those experiences. Several, not just past life recalls. Now, yeah, of any time. Okay, so yeah, they do include sensations, emotions, sounds. Oh, for me, I have definitely experienced sights, sounds, smells. Yes, uh, anything about that. And I was thinking whether or not I experienced. Yes, I did experience taste, I believe. One of the great experience, one of the kind of, I guess you could say, the greatest or most solid experiences that I had was like I called on some angels, and I started smelling how they smelled like myrrh, and I'm just sitting there smelling this, and then I go out of my room, and the people around me say, "Hey, do you have any incense going? What is this smell?" So yeah, they could smell it too. So that was like, okay, that's all real. That was my one of my kind of, I guess, biggest sensory experiences. But yeah, anything of hearing, etc., etc. I've had those. Yes, I've had those. Oof, my view on dreams. Yeah, yeah. Let me. My view of dreams would be that dreams are very important. Dreams are basically the gateway to spirituality. What does it, and in Ekankar they say that every time we dream, we sleep, we kind of astral project. So what does a baby do? It dreams, sleeps, astral projects. So yeah, it is a gateway. And my opinion is that dreams should be used for soul travel. It's a very easy thing. And of course, and for me, for example, dreams are very useful in actual divination, where I would just dream what is going to occur on that day to come, and that does indeed happen. So for me, these are the most important uses of dreams. However, it goes way beyond that. So if you're talking about soul travel, yeah, it can be done with dreams. And if you're talking about, let's say, Carlos Castaneda and the art of dreaming, I definitely believe that those kind of practices can also be done. Buddhist meditations can be done. So basically, you can incorporate the entire, basically any kind of spirituality into your dream. It's tremendously important and tremendously freeing. Um, about sacred calendar, yes, yes, I do have a belief about those about those events, you know, for me, it so happened that I sort of traumatized myself a little bit with my Qigong, and I basically I can really sense. I can really sense the moon. The moon, for example, I mean, it's set to heighten everything within us. So if we have any kind of problems, energetical, emotional, physical, energetical, emotional, mental, or otherwise, he can heighten those too. So yeah, the stars do definitely exert their own magic, and of course, I would like to get it out there that we definitely should change our horoscopes. We definitely should invoke and act upon them, invoke the forces that we need, and not be subject to the stars. But they most definitely hold power. Have I encountered? Oh yeah. Oh, the dead. Okay. Okay, that's an interesting. That's an interesting story I had. You know, like in a dream, just kind of spontaneously, I started calling on Abba. I actually. Oh yeah, destiny is a product of choices, but it's and I'll continue to the I'll get to the shades as well. Destiny is a product of choices, but basically the destiny of man is really a product of man and the forces working with man. So depending on what kind of spirits we have with us, we do indeed, and we can indeed manipulate the entirety of our faith and destiny. Now about the shades, where I heard a man, and from his voice I felt and I knew that he was Aleister Crowley. Now, why this happened is because I tried to contact with him with Abaddon's help, and so then when I saw him in a dream, I called out to Abaddon and I said, "Bring me Aleister Crowley," because I wanted to solidify his presence. You know, so what appeared was the actual manifestation of the being that is depicted in Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot deck, the death card, the actual skeleton. It was quite compelling, quite clear. So I guess that kind of really was there to give me a clear signal that hey, you are communing with a dead being. So that's kind of my biggest necromantic experience up to this point. Yes, yes, and it was, and yeah, it's something that we can all do. Also, we all have access to this, so it's pretty good. We can access our loved ones and so on. And I do believe the necromancy to be on that topic a little bit. I do believe that it plays a major part in spirituality, in the quest for immortality, etc. I began working with the Magickal Cabal, I guess you spell it, of which Sumner's Dreadwood teaches. So yeah, about the Order of the Black Star. Oh yeah, the Order of the Black Star. Well, I guess I need to also get into it a little bit as to how it all began. Yeah, I did want to create a cult of Lucifer, and then one day when I had already found the name Satolas, it so happened that Satolas revealed the name, the Order of the Falling Star, the Order of the Black Star was the name I gave it after I learned about the Black Star, and it was kind of channeled by Satolas that is what the name should be. What is the distinction is it's an order that number 36. Did you actually notice some correlation between the number 36 and my order? That's interesting. I didn't notice that. Oh, not really Stolas. I'm talking about Satolas. You know, the one that the EA calls the Lord of Darkness. That is his name that he received. And the distinction of the order of the falling star would be such that it is here to do basically four things. The first would be the apocalypse. I mean, or to herald four things. The first would be the apocalypse of Davis, or you could say, of course, my apocalypse. So that would be my own attainment of supremacy and dominion overall. So that's the kind of my ascent, how I define my ascent. Then there's what I call the Aeon of Davis, which began in this lifetime, which I am alive, which my life began, and the religion of Davis, which states that basically, okay, if for those who give themselves all to me, not to me as I am now, but to me when I am supreme, I will also share with them the same supremacy. So that would be kind of my ideology. And the fourth thing that the order of the falling star, or the order of the black star, because the black star is the falling star talked about there, is to basically uh, create and expound a system of life, of how can a person attain all knowledge, attain all power, attain all things. What is the path to actually get all of it? So that's what we kind of strive to do. I say we, but it's mostly myself and the people who want to join me. But I'm doing okay. I believe that we are definitely on the right track. Even this interview is a major stepping stone for the order and for myself as well. Because again, the order. Oh, alien theories. Yeah, I actually touched on that definitely a little bit, and I'll come back to it as well. So, my opinion about. I mean. uh, One of the interesting videos about that topic, I guess I can point people to, is what is it called, the Reptilian Agenda by David Icke and Credo Mutwa. Now, in the video, there's a couple interesting things that they talk about. Now, one of the most interesting things is they talk about monopods, a race of beings who basically wear crosses and have one leg and jump around it. And what's interesting to me is that the what is he called, Prince Xandor, is said to be one of these monopods. So here we have a case of how an alien race correlates to the voodoo Prince of Darkness. And my view on the alien kind of stuff is one that we definitely do have to get personal experience from it. So, like I said, for example, in Ekankar, we know that there's a spiritual temple on Venus. We can begin, let's say, there. And if we have any kind of guide, then we should use those masters and their help to really get a good knowledge of those races, and then we can get it on the Akashic records and the soul records. I don't have a lot of first-hand knowledge on that, definitely, but my belief is that that I would like to give credence to or against. Now, do I believe in the reptilian? First of all, in the theory and the conspiracy. Basically, to me, what's very interesting is that if we accept it, it does hold power. They say, if you eat the flesh of one of those guys, you do have all your senses heightened, you do gain energy, etc., etc. So if we accept it, we can say, okay, somewhere probably there's a race of beings, maybe underground in certain desolate places, etc., that we can reach and that we can gain knowledge and power from. So yes, I believe it should be accepted as a possibility by everyone until disproven, and it should be and people who are interested should try to find them of ourselves in development can connect to certain forms. Like, yes, I mean, we do come basically from one and the same. We do connect, but more importantly, we have the power, we have the nature, we have it locked within us. We can become such beings if we desire. We can transform ourselves. So I guess that is the point that we can look to as well. And let me check what you were writing. Yep. Okay. Final thoughts. Woo. Big. Well, for me, would be to the people, I guess. To the people. Come join me. Come join the Order of the Black Star, the Order of the Falling Star. And as a final thought would be, yeah, come join my cause. And do not let anyone tell you that anything is impossible, and do not under any circumstances allow yourselves to live a mediocre life. What I mean by that is obtain the miraculous, obtain the extraordinary powers and experiences. Otherwise, life is waste. Yes. Particular picture. Yes, I will give you the sigil. I will give you the sigil of my order. That should fit perfectly. Thank you. Picture for the video.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's recording on my end, but
I want to say that definitely. Thank you very much, Jafar. Like I said, it's a huge deal for me and myself as a start. In all this field, it's a huge stepping stone for myself, and I believe that hopefully, if you agree, I would definitely like to continue. I would definitely like to expand upon some things. I'm writing 2 books at the moment. Also, one about soul travel, one about the nine gatekeepers. So there should be a lot to talk about as we go along. Like, so, thanks a lot.